All right, guys, we are back with more Please Be Happy. In the last one, we were at the park. We got attacked and stolen from by a cute little doggo. We caught the doggo, and now we're bringing it back to Juliet to be like, "Hey, Juliet, what do we do with it?" And I think just based on the fact that this is labeled one, what's one more? That's what this like section of the story is called in the loading screen. I think we're gonna keep the dog. I'm not gonna lie. I think that's what's gonna happen. I'm so here for that because every game needs a good, cute dog. Every game needs one. Aspen's got her cats too, so we're just gonna have a dog, and then they'll be best friends. That's totally how it's gonna work. As if her cats aren't like already like too jumpy at everything ever. Yeah, with all that being said, let's jump into it. Although the dog starts to squirm at some point, I manage to carry him all the way home. He sheds and definitely smells like a stray dog, but I don't mind it too much. He can't help it after all. Aspen also holds him a couple times. For some reason, he's more antsy with her than with me, so her turns don't last so as long. When we arrive at the library, Juliet's waiting just
Oh
inside.
my, isn't he precious?
The puppy thumps his tail against my chest as Juliet comes over to pet him. People just can't stop themselves from doing that, I guess.
Let's take him upstairs.
I don't want to set him down here with the last few library patrons and all the books. Other than his initial chase, he's been pretty calm, but that could change once he's recharged. Yeah, don't. Just don't. We all go to my room, where I finally put the dog on the floor. He starts sniffing around immediately, although there isn't that much to sniff. I watch for any signs of trouble, but he's good.
I like him a lot more when he isn't robbing me.
That's super duper fair.
He just didn't know how to ask politely.
There's a half full glass of water on my desk. I set it down on the ground so the dog can drink some. He slurps up as much as he can. The glass too big for his tongue to reach all of
I'll
it.
go fetch a bowl of water and see if we have anything that would be safe for him to eat. And then we can talk about what to do with him.
We're gonna keep it. We're gonna keep him, right? We're keeping him? Aspen sits down on my bed, but I sit on the floor and the dog walks over to sniff me.
Seems he's already taken a liking to you.
His fur is stiff and coarse, and he's bony. He can't be that old, which makes me think he must have spent most of his short life as a stray. That's so sad. Juliet returns soon, setting the water and also a bowl with some banana slices, bread, and a slice of cheese.
It's not
I heard
the
that cheese wasn't
healthiest
that good
meal,
for dogs.
but it
Yeah.
should keep his belly full for a little bit.
The dog digs in like he didn't just eat half a sandwich earlier. The bowl slides across the floor from the force of his munching, and he smacks his lips while he tries to chew the banana.
Is
Oh.
it okay if he stays here for a while? I'll take care of him. Even if it's just until we find his real owner, if he has one. I don't want to just kick him back out.
Oh. This so feels like Miho's asking her mom for permission. It's so cute.
Oh, heavens! I wouldn't dream of just tossing him back out on the street. But taking care of a pet, even for a couple of days, is a lot of work.
Yeah, it's a
Are you
lot.
I'm sure. Whatever it is, I'll do it.
I've only had this puppy around for a couple hours, but I already know that I don't want anything bad to happen to him. Insert the Brooklyn Nine-Nine meme. Scrunching for food. Why is my doggo barking? Hang on. I got to go take care of that. Hang on. I can't scoot out. My chair, the chair doesn't like scooting on this. Okay, we do be back. It was very easy to get her to come in. Normally it's like, I'm freaking out, man. Normally it's a little bit harder to actually get her to like come in and calm down if someone's like outside or making noise. But that was really easy. So yeah, no, we're just back doing this already. Scrounging for food, stealing, not having anywhere to go back to. They're all things I can relate to. Wait, also, while we're like this, I'm just gonna go ahead and just move that down so I can actually see the timer for how long we've been going. Click.
I don't see why not, then. I'll keep an eye out as well for anyone who may be searching for a lost dog like him.
Thanks, Juliet. You're the best.
Thanks. I don't think he has any people, though. I think he's all on his own.
You may be right. Still, we should do our best to make sure.
Also, I do apologize if you hear any munching and crunching in the background. That is just my puppo eating her food.
I'll look out for any posters or missing signs.
After he finishes his meal, the dog flops down by me. He stares at me, but he doesn't move, instead fighting to keep his eyes open. Now that he's eaten more, he does seem totally exhausted.
You must be in doggy paradise right now after spending a few days in the park. I know I sure would be.
I look up at Juliet smiling.
Yeah, I think he'll like staying here.
Yeah, I think he will too. When I wake up, the dog is already awake and staring at me from the floor, ready to go. The two of us go downstairs and join Juliet for breakfast, where she's prepared another bowl of fruit and bread for the dog. He eats it, but even if he's only going to be here for a couple days, he'll need more than people food.
I think I'm gonna go buy some dog food for him. I can get that at most stores, right?
Yes, it shouldn't be difficult to find.
I check my wallet. I have plenty of money since Juliet pays me for my library work, but there's hardly ever anything I need to buy myself. This is as good as use as any.
Do you mind watching him while I go?
Not at all.
Thanks!
I kneel down and pet the dog's head. I've already learned one of his favorite spots, right at the base of his ears, and give him a good scratch.
Okay, stay here with Juliet, alright?
Oh, he's so cute. Look at him. I really am turning into Aspen with how much I talk to the dog. She gets it. She gets it. Although he stays put for a moment, he follows me to the front door before I can leave. I gently push him back with my
No,
foot.
you can't come with me.
The dog paws at my legs, looking at me expectantly. Once more, I let him outside to relieve himself, but even after he finishes that, he won't go back into the library without me. He knows he's being left. Oh my gosh, this is too real.
You're not gonna take no for an answer, are you?
Sighing, I accept my fate. I let Juliet know about the change of plans, and the dog and I start walking. He stays near me, sometimes going off the path to sniff something, but he always returns. Each time he starts to walk away, I feel a tinge of worry that he won't come back. He's for real, though. But that possibility is just something that I have to accept. Even if some details of my past have gone hazy for me, I can still clearly remember how it feels to need to run and escape. If the dog decides that's what he needs to do, then it's not my place to stop him. Still, I'm relieved every time he stops sniffing and returns to my side. Eventually we get into town, and I find a pet store. There's a sign on the window saying that dogs are allowed inside, which is what I was hoping for. A bell rings when I walk in, although it doesn't sound as pretty as the one at the bell house. I wander around until I find the dog food section. There are more choices here than I thought. Big bags, small bags, red bags, blue bags. I'm not sure which one to pick. The dog sniffs each of them in turn. I watch to see if one gets his interest more than the others, but it doesn't seem like he's picky. I try to find which one has the most similar looking dog on the front.
So I'll go with this one.
On the way to the front, the dog veers off down another aisle, and I follow behind to see what got his attention. Of course, it's the toy aisle. Just like in the food section, there are dozens on display. He sniffs them all over, even more furiously than the kibble. There's a small basket of plastic toys on the ground, and he pulls one out with his mouth. It looks like a cartoon squirrel, and its tail squeaks when he bites it. Aww. He gives it a good shake, getting a few more squeaks in the process. His tail wags even faster than his head, and he looks up at me eagerly. I reach for the toy, but he hops away and then crouches down, tail still going, daring me to try to take it again. I do, but he instantly jumps out of reach once more, shaking and squeaking the toy again.
Okay, you can keep it. But come on, I gotta pay.
It's been a long time since I've stolen anything. Now that I can actually pay for things, I can't see myself stealing again. I feel kind of guilty about things I took in the past, but I only ever did what I had to in order to survive. Once I had support from others in my I think my mess up sounds are funnier than anything I've said during all of this. Once I had support from others in my life and the help I needed to get my feet on the ground, stealing stopped being something I felt like I had to do. At the counter, I use 2 fingers to hold up the slobbery toy so the cashier can scan it, before returning it to the dog. I tuck the bag of food under one arm, and then we start walking home. We reach a crosswalk, arriving right as the light changes to send traffic across our path. I come to a halt while I wait, switching Oh, a pang of fear went through me. The dog isn't gonna keep walking, right? Switching which arm I use to carry the bag since it's getting sore. But the puppy doesn't stop with me. Instead, he doesn't even look back as he runs out onto the road, eager to get back to the library. A car horn blares oh, okay, no, there's already pain in my stomach. A car horn blares as it barrels towards us down the road, too close to be able to brake in time. I feel like I'm moving in slow motion as I drop the bag of food and dash out into the road despite knowing how dumb that is. I grab the dog as I sprint by, barely hauling ourselves out of the way of the passing car. The driver understandably gives me a rude gesture as he goes by. The dog, meanwhile, looks at me as if offended by the rough treatment with my hand still holding him tightly.
Dummy! She could have died right there.
The squirrel toy in his mouth squeaks as he squirms in my grasp. My heart is actually beating. Not my heart rate jumping up from my usual 50 to 90 in that moment. Okay, cool. That's fun. Thanks, game. I love it. That was too close for comfort. If I had just been a step further away, I would have been too late to rescue the dog. I probably would have gotten myself hit for my troubles too. Behind us and across the street, the bag of food lies on its side, sub kibble strewn across the ground from a spot where it tore when I dropped it. Whether the dog wants to run away or stay with me is up to him, but I can't just let him get himself. I'm so all over the place now. I was doing so good at reading, now it's all over, baby. But I can't just let him get himself hurt, or worse. I only have one choice. I hoist the dog up and hold him with one arm, just like the dog food bag that I go back and retrieve before we start walking again. He doesn't squirm as much as he did yesterday, which helps a lot. But still, by the time we make it back to the library, both my arms feel like they're ready to fall off. When I set the dog down, he strolls up to the library door as if nothing happened, waiting for me to let him in. I guess in his mind, maybe nothing did happen. He's got no clue how lucky he was. A long time ago, Juliet said that sometimes your best is all you can do. That goes for puppies too. If I'd been born a city dog instead of a fox, I doubt I'd be much different either. Still, I have to think it's a miracle that any dog makes it to adulthood, especially strays like him. Oh, my heart's still going. I can't. That's too much. I could not handle that. That would be the meanest, cruelest thing that this game could ever do, is introduce cute dog, only for the next section of the story to immediately kill him. That'd just be too much. When it's finally time for my meeting, Juliet helps me set up. Ooh, oh yeah. I got so distracted with Doggo, I forgot all about this. Okay, hang on. I'm trying to get my mouse to come back. Mouse, please. I'm using my leg as a mouse pad. Please just come back over. When it's finally time for my meeting, Juliet helps me set up on her computer, and then lets me take it to my room. I adjust the screen until I can see it properly, and then I wait. My nervousness keeps building until I nearly jump when the call finally comes through. As the ringtone plays, I take a deep breath and then hit accept. Oh, I like her glasses. That was such a weird detail to pick up. I really like her glasses and her style. The tiny person-shaped bubble on the notification screen dissolves, and for a second there's just a black screen. Then a woman appears. When the image comes into focus, she's squinting at the screen, probably waiting just like me, but then she smiles and waves as she's able to see me.
Oh. Hi, I'm Miho.
Oh,
Nice to meet you. Thanks for talking to me.
Sorry, Miho, I don't want to interrupt you. A new chapter is one of those it just feels good. It's one of those songs oh, it's making me feel all different kinds of emotions. Oh my gosh, the story's so good. It's one of those kinds of songs of it's playing when there's a good scene happening, or to just help you relax, which I need after that dog stuff, honestly.
I'm Minsa. No problem. Gotta say, I was shocked when I got your friend's email at first. I thought it was gonna turn out to be some kind of scam, and eventually she'd ask for money. I'm still a bit confused, though. So you were friends with my ancestor?
Sort of. I met them when I was really young. I was just a regular fox back then.
Wait. A fox, with 4 legs and pointy ears?
I mean, I still got the pointy ears. Can't you see them?
Yeah. After I met Jongin, I turned into the person I am today.
Whoa. So that was a long time ago, huh? But you look even younger than me. Oh, that's just not fair.
Trust me, it has its downsides.
Both of us laugh, and I can't help but be relieved that she already feels easy to talk to.
That explains a lot, at least. So, Jongin, You're the second person to ask me about them this year, you know? That's
Aw.
2 times more than most years.
Who was the first?
These guys at some archaeological society who are putting on an exhibition. They wanted permission to display some of their old works.
Are you the only family they have?
The only one who can use a computer, at least. The only reason I know any of the history is because I had to. Should I tell you everything I know and then you can ask me any questions? No promises if I'll be able to answer them, though.
Sure, that works for me.
Let's see. Well, I'm not
Hey, God.
related to them by
Hey, God.
blood, for
Hey,
one
God.
thing. They
Iris,
don't have any
hang on.
kids
What's
of
up?
their own.
Just one sec, I'll be right back. Twas just packages being delivered, it's fine. Also, I looked at my screen, the OBS recording, and I freaked out. I was like, oh no, why are my VTuber notifications still on the screen? And I was like, oh wait, no, that's just like the buttons on Miho's computer. That's all it was. And then I'm like, oh, I'm so silly. Well, I need to reread this anyway since I didn't actually hear any of it because I was trying to get my dog to not be barking and be okay. Let's see, well, I'm not related to them by blood for one thing. They didn't have any kids of their own.
But they got married and they and their wife adopted several children. I'm related to one of those kids.
Oh,
They were part of
nice.
the young bun class, a noble and a scholar. But rather than be stuck at home suffering through court life, they hid their identity and snuck away to travel the world instead.
Ooh. Minso speaks with a Minso speaks with a practiced tone, like she's given the speech a few times. Still, I listen with rapt attention, memorizing every detail.
They spent years on the go, seeing everything they could, before finally coming back home to Korea to settle down and start a family. While they were away, they kept a journal and wrote letters back to their beloved. Although
Oh.
calligraphy was something they were taught from a young age, they began practicing as an artist during their travels. Sometimes, the letters they sent would include paintings of the things they'd seen, or they'd include little drawings in their journal. Something else that they started to do was give a note to the people they met on their journey, with a little message of appreciation or wishes. My husband always says they remind him of fortune cookies.
Oh, I actually have one of those scrolls myself.
I brought my scroll down from my room just in case it came up like this. I unfurled it for the first time since Halloween. Please be happy. I turn the scroll around and hold it up to the camera, as so Minso can see. She leans in again and looking close.
Yeah, that's definitely theirs, all right. And they gave it to you when you were just a fox?
Yeah,
Yeah, it sounds a little weird.
although I couldn't read it until a couple months ago.
And I was literally about to say, like, when you say that they just gave it to you when you were a fox, that does sound a little weird.
God, it's so hard to read their handwriting, right? I'm like, if they were born today, they totally would have been a doctor. I have a few of them myself, although they're up in the office. Grandma has like 90. She says she has one for every year she's been alive, and I definitely believe that.
Jeez, that's a lot. How many did they give out altogether?
It's too many.
Who knows? If someone told me
Yeah,
it was
basically what I
thousands,
said.
I'd believe them. I don't know if they gave one to every person they met, but it must have been close.
Huh. I thought mine must be pretty rare.
Hey, don't be disappointed by it. It's
Feels
okay.
special. However many there were, I'm sure most haven't lasted this long. Not everyone got a full scroll either. But, no. They're not some priceless artifacts that'll sell for a ton of money or something. Otherwise, I'd be talking to you from my mansion by the beach.
That's fine. I'd never sell mine anyway. It's way too important to me.
Yeah, I figured. I'm sure it wasn't easy to keep it safe and in such good condition.
That's for sure. We've been through a lot together.
That's good. I'm sure that's what they would have wanted.
For a while, Minso tells me more about Zhongyin's adventures. Even though it's hard for me to picture some of the people and places involved, I still pay close attention. Then all of a sudden, Minso's eyes go wide like she's had some huge revelation.
I'm an idiot! Hold on, I'll be right back. I have to show you.
Oh, is it gonna be like a painting or something of like Miho? That's immediately what came to mind for me. She gets up and runs off screen, leaving me with the view of an empty chair and a bookshelf. Instead, I look down at my scroll. Somehow, I'd always assumed it was one of a kind, or at least something rare and meaningful. But somehow finding out that isn't the case doesn't really bother me. Instead, it's nice to think that they had that. Instead, it's nice to think that they met so many people to be grateful to, or who left an impact on them. If there were thousands of scrolls like mine out there, then that's not a bad thing at all. After a few seconds, Minso returns to the computer and sits down carrying a scroll herself.
This is one that I had in the office. I can't believe I didn't think about this sooner. Sometimes they'd include a butterfly in their signature or hide one in their paintings because they said they were inspired by butterflies to travel with the wind. But then, at some point, instead of butterflies, they started
It's
to
gonna be
include
foxes.
something else instead. Can you see her?
She held up the scroll to her camera like I did, focused on one of the bottom corners. There, just below where they signed their name, is a little picture of a fox. Ooh. Of me?
I should have thought of it
Of
when you
me?
mentioned foxes earlier. At one point, they started using the alias Horim for their work. I don't know if you speak any Korean, but Horim means fox forest. After they started using that name, foxes would show up in their art for the rest of their life.
That's so sweet. That's so cute. Oh my gosh. The drawing consists of just a few brushstrokes that make a head and the drawing consists of just a few brushstrokes that make a head and ears and face. Still, it feels like seeing a photograph of myself. I can picture them smiling as they drew it, as they thought of me. I'd always wondered if our time together was as important to them as it was to me. Hearing that they chose that name practically confirms it. Also, I'm sorry. I feel like it's like when there's a lot of S's. Well, like, was as important to them as it was to me. It's like, that's harder for me to say than most other
Thanks
things.
for showing me.
I can feel the real threat of tears, but somehow I manage to keep my
No
composure.
problem. Grandma's gonna freak out when I tell her I talked to you. I've told you basically all I know, but were there any questions you had?
Yeah, I did have one. I'm a little afraid to know, but
I take a deep breath. They are human, so my question is only natural, but still. Exhaling, I make myself
how'd they
ask.
die?
Minso smiles.
Peacefully. Their wife outlived them, but not by too long. They had the typical funeral that was expected when they passed away, but then they actually had one final secret request to their family. They wanted to be
Ooh.
cremated. Back then, it was basically unheard of, especially for someone of their stature. But they really wanted it to be done so that they could have their ashes scattered. That way, the wind could pick them up, and they could keep traveling forever.
So then... It sounds like they were happy.
Oh yeah. They told their kids that they had no regrets, because they'd live as full and rewarding a life as they could.
I'm afraid that if I try to say too much, I'll start to cry, so I just nod instead while I find my
I'm glad to
voice.
know that.
Of course, of course. It's only right that you know, considering how many foxes showed up in their work.
I think Minso can tell that I'm having a tough time holding it together, because her voice takes on a more sympathetic tone.
Was there anything else you wanted to know?
I don't think so. You told me everything I wanted to ask. I only found out their name a couple months ago. Until then, I just thought of them as my person in my head. So, really, I've learned a lot more than I could have hoped for.
Aww. Well,
Aw.
I'm happy to help. Your friend has my contact info, so you can message me anytime if you think of anything else. I guess if you think about it, you and I are kind of like family, right? since it sounds like they raised you just as much as they raised their kids, like my great, whatever.
Great cousin? Question mark. She laughs.
Sure, why not? The more the merrier, right? I think that's how they would have seen it too.
Thank you. I really appreciate it.
Family. I may have a girlfriend, but family is something new to me. Silver called us sisters, but just barely. It makes my heart
No
warm.
problem. I'm sure we'll talk again, so I won't say goodbye. Instead, how about see you later?
I'd like that. Although, there's just one thing.
What's that?
I explain my magic and how everyone forgets me after a day. Nodding sympathetically, Minso agrees to join my list of people who check in with me every day. I'm glad she's so understanding, but it's just another reminder that I need to find a better, more permanent solution for people forgetting me. The second our end calls, I let out a sob I was holding back. I thought I was done crying over Zhongyin, but apparently not. Except this time, it's the good kind of crying. After all my searching, and even after their death, I finally got the answer to the question my heart wanted to know. They cared about me too. I tried to imagine what their home must have been like. Their wife and kids. I'm sure they were all smiles. Still, it's difficult for me to imagine how they looked. Instead, I can picture them, traveling just like when we met, going from place to place freely, wherever the wind took them, just like me really. Someday I'd like to return to some of those places that I've been before, and see them properly instead of just blindly searching for one person and ignoring everything else. I'd like to visit them with some of the same wonder that Zhongyin felt. More than anything, I wish I could tell them about what I've experienced and learned on this path they sent me down. Even though I can't, there's one thing that I can now say for sure. They would have been proud of me. A few minutes later, I'm still trying to pull myself together when the dog comes up to me and paws on my leg insistently. I can't help but smile. Oh, whatever I'm going through doesn't matter to him at all. He just really wants to eat or go outside, of course. My life and tears don't really make a difference to him one way or another. And really, that helps keep me grounded. I'm glad to have some closure when it comes to Zhongyin, and to know that they were just the kind of person I imagined them to be. While their kindness and memory will never stop being special to me, I finally feel like I can say they're in the past. Time passed quicker than I could have ever imagined, but it still passed. It moved on, and now I need to too. After wiping my eyes and blowing my nose, I stand up and the dog spins in an excited circle as I reach for the door. He runs right for the kitchen, stopping right outside the cabinet where I stored his food. His nose quivers and he huffs like a pig as he waits for me to catch up.
To get used to this, did it?
He barks at me, just a single short yap, but I can't imagine him telling me to hurry up.
Alright, give me a second.
I grab a clean bowl from the cupboard and scoop him out some dinner. As the kibble clatters into the dish, he excitedly prances about, getting his snout into the bowl before it's even on the floor. His tail wags as he chows down, inhaling half his meal without even chewing. I reach towards him, but he growls at me with a mouthful of dog
Not
food.
taking it. I'd pour my own bowl if I wanted some. Besides, I don't think I could stand the taste anymore.
Still, I keep my distance, just so I don't spook him. Finally, after he's done, he leaves the kitchen and heads right back up towards my room. He's gotten comfortable here much faster than I did. I wonder if it feels like home yet. Oh, that was so good. That was so good. As if, like, every time I read this, I don't just go, oh, that was so good. That was so good. Da, 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 da. But yeah, I think with that being said, that's a pretty solid place to end for now. I'm happy. Honestly, I thought that this week was gonna suck because I was all like, oh, I can't really use my right hand for anything. So, like, what am I gonna do? I have, like, nothing to do, like, no games to play. A lot of my friends are out and about, like, and it's like, I don't know. I was like, oh, what am I supposed to do with all this time? I can't, because it even, like, hurts to, like, read and, like, flip through pages of books. But, like, honestly, having, like, Please Be Happy to read over this break is so good. I've loved it. It's been, like, such a great experience, like, finally taking the time to sit down and go through this, because, like, I loved it, but I barely gave it the time of day, again, because I was just so scared of, like, eventually, like, finishing it, you know? that I was like, I don't really want to read it, but now that I'm actually like letting myself be happy and enjoy it, I'm like, ah, it's so good. I love it. So yeah, with all that being said, I'll see all you beautiful peeps in the next one. Bye-bye!